Before you spend another Canadian penny, stop. Because right now, collectors are paying thousands of dollars for coins that most people are literally dropping on the ground and walking past. The 1 cent coin you're holding could change everything. Our first remarkable coin is the 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin, is one of those modern coins that almost everyone ignores. Yet in the high-grade collector market, it has quietly become a surprising performer, especially when you start looking at top-tier condition examples and rare error varieties that can push its value into the thousands of dollars. At first glance, it seems like an ordinary circulating coin with massive mintage, but the reality is that finding one in flawless condition is extremely difficult. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately and suffered scratches, dull surfaces, and color loss, which means true gem quality pieces graded MS66, MS67, or higher are incredibly scarce. When you find a fully original red example with blazing luster, smooth surfaces, and no visible marks, you are no longer dealing with a common coin. You are looking at a premium collectible that has achieved auction prices between $3,000 and $5,000, and in exceptional cases, with near perfect preservation. Private collectors have paid upwards of $6,000 or more just to secure a top population piece. But the real excitement with the 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin comes from its error varieties, which have created an entirely different level of demand among serious collectors. One of the most sought-after varieties is the double die obverse, where the date and lettering show clear doubling under magnification. Strong examples of this error, especially when combined with high-grade surfaces, have reached 2,000 to 4,000 plus, and in rare, sharply doubled cases, even higher in private negotiations. Off-center strike errors from this year are also extremely desirable, particularly those that show a dramatic shift of 20 to 50% while still keeping the full date visible. These visually striking coins have sold in the range of $2,500 to $4,500 plus, depending on the degree of misalignment and overall eye appeal. Another fascinating error seen on 2000 pennies is the rotated die variety, where the reverse design is not properly aligned with the obverse. When this rotation becomes significant, such as 90 degrees or more, it transforms a simple coin into a collectible anomaly that has commanded prices between $2,000 and $3,800 plus in high grades. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, create a wider and slightly flattened appearance, and pristine examples of these have pushed past $2,000 to $3,200 in auction-style sales. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is physically missing due to a cutting mistake during production, have also reached impressive levels, often selling between $1,500 and $3,000, especially when the clip is large and clearly visible. Even smaller imperfections like die cracks, cuds, or die chips can become highly valuable when they are dramatic and paired with exceptional condition. Some of these unique pieces have crossed $1,000 to $2,000 plus simply because no two error coins are exactly the same, making them highly desirable for collectors who want something truly one of a kind. What makes this coin even more interesting is that it belongs to a modern era where very few people thought to preserve coins in perfect condition, which is why population reports for top grades remain extremely low compared to older issues. So the next time you come across a 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin, don't be too quick to dismiss it, because hidden within what looks like ordinary pocket change could be a high-grade rarity or a valuable error worth thousands of dollars, and if you think this one is surprising, the next coin is, on a completely different level. Number 2. The 1996 Canadian 1 cent coin is one of those pieces that quietly sits in circulation history, often ignored and overlooked. Yet when you step into the world of high-grade collecting and error varieties, it transforms into a coin that can command serious money in the thousands. At face value, it feels common, produced in large numbers and used daily, but the truth is that most of these coins were heavily circulated, losing their original mint luster, developing spots, scratches, and dull surfaces over time. Because of this, finding a truly pristine example with full original red color, sharp strike details, and clean surfaces is incredibly difficult. When collectors manage to secure coins graded MS66 or MS67 red, the market responds aggressively with high-end auction and private sale values reaching 2,500 to 4,500 plus. And in rare cases of near-perfect preservation and exceptional eye appeal, these coins have crossed the $5,000+ level, driven by demand for top population modern Canadian cents. Where the 1996 Canadian 1-cent coin truly becomes exciting is in its error varieties, which have created a niche but powerful collector demand. One of the standout varieties is the double die obverse, where elements such as the date and lettering show noticeable doubling, sometimes subtle, but in stronger cases, clearly visible even without magnification. High-grade examples of this variety have sold between 1,800 and 3,800 plusers. And when the doubling is bold and combined with flawless surfaces, values can climb even higher in competitive private sales. Another highly desirable error is the double punch date or repunched numerals, which adds an extra layer of uniqueness to the coin and has achieved prices around 1,500 to 3,000 plus, depending on clarity and grade. Off-center strike errors from 1996 are particularly eye-catching, especially when the strike is significantly misaligned while still preserving the full date. These coins are extremely popular among collectors because of their dramatic appearance, and high-grade examples have reached 2,500 to 4,000 plus in auctions and private trades. Rotated die errors also appear on this issue, and when the rotation becomes extreme, such as 90 degrees or more, it can push values into the 2,000 to 3,500 pluser range, especially when paired with strong luster and minimal surface marks. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, give the piece a wider, slightly distorted look that collectors love, and premium examples have sold for 2,000 to 3,200 pluslers. Clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting flaw before striking, have also shown strong performance, often bringing $1,500 to $3,000, particularly when the clip is large and visually dramatic. Even smaller anomalies like die cracks, cuds, and die chips can push values past $1,000 to $2,000 when they are bold and combined with high-grade preservation, because each of these coins becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible. What makes the 1996 penny even more intriguing is that it belongs to a period when collectors were not actively saving modern coins in perfect condition, meaning the number of surviving top-grade examples is far lower than most people expect. This scarcity at the highest levels continues to drive demand, especially among registry set collectors who compete for the finest known examples regardless of the coin's original face value. So before you ignore a 1996 Canadian 1-cent coin, take a closer look, because what appears to be a simple penny could actually be a rare high-grade survivor or a valuable mint error worth thousands. And the next coin will take this to another level. Number 3, the 1989 Canadian 1-cent coin is one of those coins that hides its true potential behind an ordinary appearance, often dismissed as just another circulated penny. Yet in the upper levels of the collector market, it is proven that condition and rarity can turn it into a multi-thousand-dollar piece. While millions were struck and released into everyday use, the harsh reality is that almost all of them entered circulation immediately, picking up contact marks, fading color, and surface damage over time. Because of this, locating a truly pristine example with full original red luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually flawless surfaces is exceptionally difficult. When such coins are certified in elite grades like MS66 or MS67 Red, they move into a completely different category, where serious collectors compete aggressively. In this level of preservation, auction records and private sales have shown values ranging from $3,000 to $5,000. And for coins with exceptional eye appeal and near-perfect surfaces, the market has pushed beyond $6,000, making it one of those modern-era cents that quietly commands big money at the top end. What really elevates the 1989 Canadian 1-cent coin into a high-value category is the presence of collectible error varieties that transform it from a simple coin into a unique and highly desirable piece. One of the most talked about varieties is the double die obverse, where the date and lettering show noticeable duplication. In stronger examples, the doubling becomes clear enough to catch the eye without magnification, And these pieces, especially in high grades, have achieved prices between $2,000 and $4,500, with sharper and cleaner examples occasionally climbing even higher in private collector deals. Another intriguing variety is the repunched or doubled numerals in the date, adding a subtle but valuable distinction that has brought in $1,500 to $3,000 depending on visibility and overall condition. Off-center strike errors from 1989 are particularly dramatic and highly sought after, especially when the coin is misaligned by a significant percentage while still retaining a complete date. These visually striking pieces have performed strongly in the market, reaching $2,500 to $4,500 plus, with some exceptional high-grade examples crossing the $5,000 mark due to their combination of rarity and eye appeal. Rotated die errors are another exciting find, where the reverse design is misaligned relative to the obverse. When the rotation is extreme, such as 90 degrees or even more, it creates a standout collectible that is sold for $2,000 to $3,800 plus in premium condition. Broad strike errors also appear on this coin, where the absence of the retaining collar during striking results in a wider and slightly distorted shape. These unusual pieces, when preserved in high grades with strong luster, have reached $2,000 to $3,500 plus. Clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting flaw before striking, are equally desirable, often bringing $1,800 to $3,200 plus, especially when the clip is large and clearly defined. Even smaller features like bold die cracks, cuds, or die chips can significantly boost value when they create a unique visual effect, with some examples exceeding $1,000 to $2,000 simply because no two pieces are exactly alike. The real story behind the 1989 penny is that it comes from a time when very few collectors were actively preserving modern coins at the highest level, which means that today's population of top-grade examples is surprisingly low. This scarcity drives intense demand among advanced collectors who are building registry-quality sets and are willing to pay a premium for the finest known specimens. So the next time you see a 1989 Canadian 1-cent coin, don't assume it's just spare change, because in the right condition or with the right error, it could be worth thousands of dollars, and the next coin will push this even further. Number 4. The 1987 Canadian 1-cent coin is one of those pieces that almost disappears into the background of everyday coinage, yet when examined through the lens of high-grade collecting and rare mint errors, it reveals a level of value that most people would never expect from a simple penny. Produced in large numbers and released straight into circulation, the vast majority of these coins suffered immediate wear, tiny scratches, contact marks, dulling of the original mint luster, and gradual loss of their vibrant red color. Because of this, truly pristine examples are incredibly difficult to locate today. When a coin from 1987 survives in exceptional condition, with full blazing red surfaces, sharp strike details, and virtually flawless fields, it enters the upper tier of the market. Certified examples in grades like MS66 and MS67 red have shown strong demand, reaching auction and private sale values between $3,000 and $5,500 plus. And in rare cases where the coin exhibits near perfect preservation and outstanding eye appeal, values have climbed beyond $6,000 plus, driven by collectors chasing the finest known examples. The real power of the 1987 Canadian 1-cent coin lies in its error varieties, which transform an already scarce high-grade coin into something truly unique and highly desirable. One of the standout varieties is the double die obverse, where the lettering and date display visible doubling caused during the die creation process. Strong examples of this error, especially when the doubling is clear and paired with a high-grade surface, have achieved prices ranging from $2,000 to $4,500 plus, with premium specimens occasionally exceeding those levels in private collector transactions. Another notable variety is the repunched or double date, where slight shifts in the numerals create a layered appearance, and these coins have reached $1,500 to $3,200 plus dollars, depending on the strength of the feature and overall preservation. Off-center strike errors from 1987 are particularly dramatic and highly sought after, especially when the design is significantly shifted while still retaining a full readable date. These visually striking pieces often attract aggressive bidding, with high-grade examples selling between $2,500 and $4,500 plus, and exceptional coins pushing toward the $5,000 range. Rotated die errors also appear on this issue. And when the rotation is extreme, such as 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or anywhere in between, it creates a fascinating collectible that has commanded $2,000 to $3,800 plus in strong condition. Broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally shapes it, produce a wider and slightly flattened appearance that stands out immediately. These coins, when preserved with strong luster and minimal marks, have sold for $2,000 to $3,500 plus dollars. Clipped planchet errors are another exciting category, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a flaw in the blanking process before striking. Large, clearly defined clips have brought in $1,800 to $3,200 plus, especially when combined with high-grade surfaces. Even smaller but bold features like die cracks, cuds, and die chips can elevate the value significantly, with some unique examples surpassing $1,000 to $2,000 plus dollars simply because each one is different and highly collectible. What makes the 1987 penny particularly interesting is that it comes from a period when collectors were not actively preserving modern coins in perfect condition, meaning that the number of surviving top-grade examples today is far lower than most would assume. This scarcity at the highest levels continues to fuel demand, especially among advanced collectors who compete for registry-quality coins and are willing to pay premium prices for the best available pieces. So before you overlook a 1987 Canadian 1-cent coin, take a closer look, because the right combination of condition and error could turn it into a coin worth thousands, and the next coin might surprise you even more. Number 5. The 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin is one of those coins that blends into everyday pocket change so easily that most people never give it a second glance. Yet, in the high-end collector market, it has proven time and time again that rarity is not always about age. It's about condition, preservation, and unique minting anomalies. While millions of these coins were produced and circulated across Canada, the overwhelming majority quickly lost their original mint brilliance. Years of handling left them with scratches, spots, dull surfaces, and faded color, which means that today, locating a truly untouched example with full original red luster is far more difficult than most would expect. When such a coin does surface in elite condition, graded MS66, MS67 red, or even higher, it enters a completely different price tier. At that level, collectors are no longer buying a simple penny, they are competing for one of the finest known survivors. Auction records and private sales have shown these high-grade examples reaching $3,500 to $5,500 plus. And in exceptional cases where the coin displays near perfect surfaces and vibrant, blazing luster, values have climbed beyond $6,000 plus, driven by intense demand from registry set collectors. Where the 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin truly separates itself is in the range of error varieties that can dramatically increase its value and desirability. One of the most intriguing and sought-after varieties is the rotated die error, where the reverse design is misaligned relative to the obverse. When this rotation becomes significant, such as 90 degrees or even approaching a full 180-degree flip, it transforms a common coin into a striking and unusual collectible. High-grade examples of these rotated die errors have sold in the range of $2,000 to $4,000, especially when the rotation is strong and the coin retains excellent surface quality. Another major variety that draws attention is the clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a flaw during the blank cutting process before the coin was struck. These clips can vary in size, but the larger and more visually dramatic they are, the higher the value climbs. Premium examples of clipped planchets from 1985 have reached $1,800 to $3,500 plus, particularly when paired with strong luster and minimal contact marks. Off-center strike errors are equally impressive, especially when the design is noticeably shifted while still keeping the full date visible. These coins are highly collectible because of their bold appearance, and high-grade specimens have achieved $2,500 to $4,500 plus, with some exceptional pieces pushing even higher in competitive auction environments. Broad strike errors also appear on this issue, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, resulting in a wider and slightly distorted shape. These unusual pieces, when preserved in near-perfect condition, have sold for $2,000 to $3,200 plus. In addition, double die varieties, where elements of the design show duplication due to a die creation error can add significant value, with strong examples bringing 1,500 to 3,000 plallers, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the overall grade. Even more subtle features like bold die cracks, cuds, or die chips can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a unique collectible, with some of these pieces crossing 1,000 to 2,000 plallers simply because no two examples are exactly the same. What makes the 1985 penny especially fascinating is that it comes from an era when modern coins were rarely set aside in pristine condition. Most were used immediately, meaning that today's population of top-grade survivors is extremely limited. This scarcity at the highest levels continues to drive demand, particularly among advanced collectors who are building competitive registry sets and are willing to pay premium prices for the best available examples. So the next time you come across a 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin, don't assume it's just another low-value piece, because under the right conditions or with the right error, it could be worth thousands of dollars, and if you think this one is impressive, there are even more coins out there waiting to be discovered. These Canadian 1-cent coins prove that even small change can hold big value when condition and errors come into play. High-grade pieces and rare varieties can reach thousands in auctions and private sales, so always check your coins carefully before spending them. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, because the next valuable coin might already be in your pocket.